watching Channel 199. Welcome back to our live position here in Pretoria. I'm John Webb, your field anchor. Over my right-hand shoulder, you can probably just make out the High Court building. Things starting to quiet down somewhat. Paul Tilsley, correspondent for Fox News. It's been an extraordinary day, to say the least. Is that how you saw it?
Absolutely, and especially those moments when the TV cameras were switched off, John. This battle going on between the defence and the prosecution attorney, voices being raised, fingers being pointed, even the witness pointing back. Michelle Berger at the defence lead attorney, Barry Roux, and all the time, Oscar Pistorius looking on kind of detached, taking long swigs from bottled water and just taking notes as if he was perhaps a theatre critic.
Yeah, you could see him in the background on the court coverage, taking notes from time to time. You're right, he did seem a bit detached, but that's certainly not true of the two sets of legal counsel. What is most of the sparring about? Is it around definitions? Is it around semantics? What's the issue?
Okay, this is just a presumption on my part. I'm not a lawyer, although I did study law. My presumption is that Barry Roux is trying to trip up the witness, trying to trip up the witness in terms of the evidence that she's giving. Was she sure that she heard gunshots? Did she not rather hear a cricket bat being battered against a door? Was she sure that she was woken by screams? Is it possible that she had dreamt the screams even at one point? I seem to remember he was asking.
Well, that certainly seems to be the case, doesn't it? It's becoming, his strategy is becoming a little clearer. I mean, one of the issues he's going to clearly focus on is whether or not what she thought were gunshots were in fact the noise of the cricket bat slamming against the door. But as you say, Michelle Berger, the witness, standing her ground, and despite the problems with the translator, doing reasonably well.
Yeah, and in fact, can I pick up on the translator?
Of course you can,
I mean,
yes.
We on Fox are reporting that maybe there's another scandal brewing here, because you couldn't see it because the cameras were switched off on Michelle Berger's request, but the translator was replaced. There is another translator sitting there, and in sheer frustration, Michelle Berger is giving her testimony completely in English now. Yeah. But she didn't want to give it in English, but she couldn't trust the translator anymore, it appears to me.
Just for clarity then, does that mean the translator was replaced 3 times during the course, or twice?
No. The translator, as far as I could see, was only replaced once, and I was in the courtroom. There was a lady translator. She started by giving the translation, and Michelle Berger kept on correcting her, saying basically what you meant to say was this. And then what happened was suddenly the lady left the room and a gentleman came in, and he sat there and just sat there in silence, just sat in the chair, keeping the chair warm next to her.
Barry Roux has been persistent, has he not? I mean, it's amazing how often he goes over the same ground over and over and over again, but I suppose in cases like this that is something often you have to do. Yeah,
I mean, it's obviously kind of a legal procedure from him. He's sounding as if he's angry. He's sounding as if he's frustrated. At one point, again, when the cameras are off, so it's interesting for perhaps you to know this, John, at one point he gave a really patronizing false smile at the witness. It's all part of a game with him. It's all trying to trip this woman up. But I must say, Michelle Berger has been absolutely rock solid. She's obviously gone through tremendous training. At the beginning of the testimony this morning, she was close to tears. She was heavily breathing. She looked as if she might burst into tears any moment. But this afternoon, after the lunch break, she was dead strong.
I was a little surprised by how short her evidence-in-chief was. Were you? I was expecting to be on the stand, led by Nel, for the best part of a day.
Yeah, I think because he wants to... I'm, again, a presumption, but my presumption is that he wanted the evidence to come out the way that she could say it. Keep it short so it can't be disputed, so it's not too long. She says what she heard, and then and that's it. So if she'd gone on a long time, I think it would have been more for Barry Roux to pick apart.
Absolutely. It's going to be a fascinating second day, no doubt. We were expecting fireworks. I think, obviously, we had nothing necessarily to base that on, but it certainly turned out to be the case.
I think so. I mean, really dramatic compared to international trials I've sat in. I don't think O.J. Simpson got off quite his trial quite as dramatically the first day. We had been told by quite respectable counsel, legal experts, that we were going to get 2 or 3 days of bickering and legal arguments before we got down to the nitty-gritty, and then all of a sudden there's the pleading, and off we go with the first witness.
I've been reading a few of the comments on social media platforms, and there have been suggestions, I'm not entirely sure why, that Michelle Berger is starting to wither in the face of Barry Rue's cross-examination. I don't think that's necessarily true.
No, I agree with you, John. I think that she's getting tired and getting irritated, but she's obviously been trained incredibly well, because there's no doubt that Rue is goading her, trying to get her to lose her cool, trying to get her to say, I've had enough of this. There was one moment, you probably heard that moment, where she basically appealed to the judge for help.
Yes.
And at another point, her prosecution attorney, Jerry Nell, called her out of the room so that he could try and step in and help her a bit. I think she's been rock solid.
She's a strong witness, absolutely no doubt. Paul Tilsley, Fox News correspondent, it's been great talking to you. Thanks very much indeed. We'll do it again, no doubt. From Fox News, Paul Tilsley. For now, back to the studio.